everyone. Welcome to the data cohort. My name is Kimmy Conroe, and I am the Assistant Director of CSU Rights. I have the pleasure of running these data cohort meetings every Monday throughout the semester, and it is a pleasure to have you. So we are going to talk briefly in this introductory video about a little bit about CSU Rights for those not familiar, and specifically digging into the benefits of a writing group, what the science behind it is, why we do it, how it's done best, and some of the benefits that you can hope to expect. We've done our introductions, and we'll talk through just what the structure of what the data meetings look like on a weekly basis. And then at the end, we'll stop the recording and we will open it up for an hour and a half-ish writing session for everyone to take advantage of this morning's or this afternoon's writing time. So just a quick reminder for CSU Rights. We are a writing community. We're from all different walks of life. We're from all across campus. And so we have our just guiding principles for our community of writers that I'd like to remind everyone of. First is just to be present, to be honest and authentic. We're not here to do anything other than show up, right? And support one another. So it's important to listen actively and with respect, to be open to and considerate of other perspectives from a variety of different considerations, to share speaking time and avoid dominating, encourage others as participants to make sure everyone feels comfortable. If you're uncertain, ask clarifying questions. If you feel challenged, please respond with grace. And after our time together, share only what is yours. Sometimes we can share personal things, and let's make sure that it stays in the private community space in which it was contributed. So a little bit background of CSU Rights. We are a writing support organization for different research writers from across the career span. And we focus on three different streams. One is for faculty, one is for postdocs, and one is for grad students. And we're also expanding to provide resources for collaborative writing as well. We are housed in the Office of the Vice President for Research. We actually recently just moved there from the graduate school. And we are also co-funded by the graduate school as well. So we collaborate closely with both of those organizations. And in order to provide writing practices for academics and researchers support them. So CSU Rights serves writers on 5 different areas in which scholarly writers tend to struggle the most. That is having the space to write, having the time to write, having the energy and momentum to get your writing done, to develop your writing style and enhance it, and also to learn aspects of collaborative writing and help ease the process of that. So we help support career building and career sustaining writing practices among academic professionals who will write for publication, for submission, and or degree completion. So CSU Rights is built on research and writing support for academic writers. That comes from a few different lenses. So first we have Jolie Jensen. She's a communications professor, heavy hitter. She's the director of the Henneke Faculty Writing Program at University of Tulsa. And fun fact, she has not only spoken, I've been a guest lecturer at our for CSU Rights before. She is going to be our keynote speaker for our 10-year anniversary celebration this year. So we haven't announced that information or dates yet, but we're going to have a big celebration slate of events, and Jolie is going to be coming to speak for us. And so that is super exciting for CSU Rights. We're looking forward to that. But she does a lot of work on dealing with inner critics and how do we become active and engaged, productive writers. So she wrote a book called Write No Matter What, which has been foundational to CSU Rights programming. And we're looking forward to having her come and give more amazing advice later this semester. Also, we have Rowena Murray. Her work on writing in social spaces and writing containment is also part of how we organize our groups and how we organize a good portion of not just our event offerings, but our workshops as well. And then finally, there's Robert Boyce. He's a psychologist, and he did a lot of work on stalled academic writers. So his data and research on procrastination and how you can get academic writers over their stalls and writer's block that work is really foundational in how we do a lot of our programming, but in particular, these kind of writing groups that data is a part of. So Boyce, we'll talk a little bit about his research, since that's so formative. In one of his studies, he did a year-long study where he took writers who were all stalled and at different phases in their careers, and he grouped them up according to whether they should A, keep writing the way that they have been with no changes. B, start writing daily and keep a log of their writing progress. And C, that they should write daily, keep a writing log, and be held accountable to someone else to see what the effects are across these different groups. So the first group found no change to their writing practice. They produced about 17 pages of publishable quality writing material. The second group that wrote daily and kept a log, they reported about 64 pages of productivity of highly published, publishable writing. So that's a huge increase. But that last group, that third group that was writing daily, keeping a log, and engaging in accountability on a regular basis, they saw a massive increase in their output, where they had 157 pages on average of publishable quality work. So this is the data that helps us to that we consider when we put together these writing groups, and knowing how we can support each other best at this kind of low stakes writing practice, where we show up together and we write in social spaces, and we do so across disciplines, not just within our own departmental silos, and simply just being held accountable for setting our own goals and for meeting our goals, and for knowing that we're going to talk with someone during the week about, whether we were able to make those goals, and if not, what got in the way, and what can we try to orient differently in order to be more successful next week. So this all tells us that the most productive academic writers tend to track their writing progress with a writing log, and also develop a writing schedule that privileges regular writing time, so that you put it on your calendar, you block it off, you make a date with yourself. It's just like any other appointment on your calendar. And then also on top of that, hold yourself accountable to someone else for meeting those writing goals. So the data stands for dissertation and thesis accountability. This is where we form these writing groups to help individual members articulate, focus on, and meet their specific writing needs and goals. So a little bit about data in specific. We focus on these low stakes check-ins, that high value, low stakes peer accountability, and also developing a unique community. We call it a cohort because it's something that you can actually create for yourself and hold on to outside of the cohort that you come into your program with, which we were just discussing in our introductions, can be really transient and sometimes can move on at different paces. You can kind of lose that community. So we try to create a fun community for everyone to be able to check in and know that there's a friendly group there for them. And also to offer new diverse perspectives where we're outside of our typical group of researchers and scholars and knowledge. We also provide that structure by having these weekly Monday check-ins. The Mondays are, I love having these at this time of the week, because it's such an encouraging reset. This is what I'm going to do this week. This is how I plan on doing it. And being able to just check in every week, and also just set aside that dedicated writing time. If you can fit it into your schedule, please take advantage of it. So academic writing groups tend to work best when the members focus on helping each other to negotiate the process of how, rather than the content, the what, of the writing. So to that end, you might find it helpful to expand your understanding of what a writing group is to something more akin to a project group, and also conceptualize the idea of writing itself as more project task-based concepts. So all of the elements of your work, the research, the reading, the analysis, coding, drafting, editing, submitting, creating presentations, posters, all of these aspects feature into your weekly goal setting and are integrated into your writing process. So ultimately, data is intended to be a mutually supportive enterprise through which you can help each other identify and overcome the writing obstacles that grad students commonly face. There's so many things that you run into. It's the exact same issues that others have run into, so that we can have these conversations to help support each other in a professional, confidential environment. So the benefits of accountability really do come from consistency. Please try to show up regularly, even if you didn't reach your goals, especially if you didn't reach your goals. Show up, set them again, say that I'm working on the same thing as I was last week. This is what got in the way last time. Here's what I'm going to do to change that or to try and improve that this week. This is a safe, low commitment space, and it's time for you to move your big project forward. So please don't think of it as just one more meeting or task on your calendar that you can just say, no, I'll not go to that. I'll knock that one off because I have other things to do. This is a protective time for you. So please don't think of it in that sense. Instead, think of it as a dedicated time for you to make that progress on one of the most important projects towards completing your degree. And also be present and engage with the group. Due to the nature of graduate programs, it's easy to become isolated from the larger campus community. And so we're really happy to provide a rare opportunity for folks to build relationships and to network with fellow grad students from a diverse range of different programs. So as much as you feel comfortable, please be an active participant in our community by turning on your camera during the conversation portion of our weekly meetings, if you're able to and comfortable. To share verbally or in chat your progress or any particular struggles that you've encountered with others that can perhaps respond to their shared experiences. And so, yeah, for the chat, we can also use that to share our weekly progress and goals, not just for conversation. So we're a larger group typically, so we shift between in numbers every week. So we want to make sure that we have time and space for everyone to share verbally each week. So please try to avoid dominating conversation in order to allow room for others to speak as they wish. And finally, we have some resources dedicated for you guys, for data participants. So on our website, the data webpage is csurights.colostate.edu/grad-data/. I'll have the link for you guys, but it should be in the email calendar invitation. But this is what information we have on there for you. This is the weekly meeting link if you ever need to grab that quickly or share it with someone else to come. This is our contact information for myself and for Christina Quinn, the director of CSU Rights. And we'll have the link to this recording of that we're currently making right here for the introduction for anyone. And there's also some other resources like a handout for writing group best practices. If you were to, we already incorporate that into our data cohort, but if you were to want to have another writing group within your department and friends, that will help guide you in some of the research-based science behind how you can do that most effectively. And we also have some downloadable templates, the weekly calendar for planning writing time, where you can just identify what times you have. It's best if you start from like just blocking out what times you are not available to write, and then identify whatever chunks of time you do have throughout the week, where you can then set aside, put it on your calendar, make an appointment for yourself that I'm going to sit down and work on this project at this time on Tuesdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Whatever you can find for yourself. And ideally, like 2-hour blocks a week are going to be the sweet spot. If you can find more, that's way better. We also have a writing log template that you can download. That's one that I made, where you can write in and track how many hours you're working each week on a project. And it's really helpful to gauge where you are putting your time in and where you might be able to shift things around. And also just, again, that's that writing log piece for productivity. And there's also a goal tracking sheet that I've made that you can download and keep for yourself. I do have an option to have it online. I just didn't know if you guys wanted to have it forward facing, but this is really helpful to help log your progress as well. So they like add that accountability piece. So that's up to you. But we will discuss our goals and accomplishments every Monday. So it's up to you whether or not you take advantage of those specific tools. And finally, some extra resources that we offer on our web through CSU Rights that are specifically geared towards helping grad students increase their productivity and output. Just have dedicated social space writing time. We have our writing retreats for grad students here. You can check out those out on our website. We also have drop-in writing sessions through Show Up and Write. And then also on Tuesdays, we have Sprint and Write, which are timed generative writing sessions if you want to like draft really quickly in like 20-minute sprints. Those are really fun. And it's amazing how fast 20 minutes will go. But the Show Up and Write schedule is one that I'm finalizing right now. So check back within the next day or so to see what the final schedule will look like and where you can show up and just drop in. They have virtual and in-person options. I think we have a lot more virtual currently. If you would like to be a Show Up and Write session host, that is an amazing extra level of accountability where it is on your calendar and other people who might drop in to join you are counting on you showing up. So that is a wonderful way once you do identify your blocks of time. If you recognize that you have a recurring time block or two that you would like to make permanent as your schedule for writing time for the rest of the semester, you consider signing up as a Show Up and Write session host so that way others can join you potentially and take advantage of that writing time with you as well. So you can let me know if you're interested in that. And then finally, we have the Right to Publish. It's a non-credit course that we offer where if you can take a 12 weeks and turn a manuscript into a publishable article with some guidance and some built-in writing lab consultations that you can meet individually with Christina and get some really great feedback on what you're trying to work on and key important things to consider in the publication process. And that starts next week, and it's on Mondays directly after data. So we frequently will have folks that are signed up to participate in data and then go straight from there to Write to Publish, and that's really fun. So it kind of builds out that extra community piece. All of that is on our website, so feel free to check that out at your leisure. And in the words of Julie Jensen, this is a phrase that we like to use with CSU Writes a lot. May your writing be brief, frequent, low stress, and highly rewarding. So I will go ahead and end the recording now and switch over to our conversation where we can discuss our weekly project goals in the chat and verbally, and then we can jump off with our writing session. So thank you for coming and let me know if you have any questions.